ready?
Yep.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Have it 7:03. Note that all board members are present via Zoom, except for Robert. We'd also like to welcome Abby Dragney and Olivia Ramsey, our two student. I'd like to call the Can you hear me okay? Or am I vibrating there? All right, Olivia Ramsey, two students who are going to represent our students. I don't know if they're student council representatives or they're just student representatives. I believe just student representatives. We are not going to do the Pledge of Allegiance because we do not have a flag at this time. Mission statement. Rockaway School District provides a quality education for all students that inspires continuous learning, positive relationships, curiosity, compassion, and an environment that welcomes diversity while developing respectful and responsible citizens. We have some students that are going to be presenting tonight. We have Hannah and Erin and Katie and Liz and Sarah. I believe that was everyone. Did I miss anyone? If not, I'd like to turn it over to our virtual teachers.
All right, which branch is going first, Montessori or Katie, you want to start?
That means I'm in.
Okay.
So the part that I'm talking about today is just our schedule, just a really brief discussion about that. We're super lucky to be able to be flexible with our schedule and to kind of change it as we see the need for it. We all have what's called synchronous learning in the morning for half an hour, which is our only large group time. And the rest is pretty much asynchronous, which means that we're doing videos and sending out lessons to families either through Seesaw or Google Classroom. And they can do them on their own time, which I know families really appreciate. At least that's what my families have said to me, is that they really appreciate being able to do it on their own time, especially for those families who are working during the day and they have to teach at night, which some of them do have to do. We also are able to do a lot of individual meetings to help meet their needs, and also small group meetings to work on math or reading, extra help, whatever that's our flexibility. We are so lucky to have that. So we are very appreciative of that. Over to you, Sarah.
All right, my section is about the tools that we're using. And so when we first were given the task of teaching virtually, the goal that our administration and our parents were looking for was for us to deliver our local curriculum with local teachers. And of course, we've never done that before. So our team got together and started to create that. And we were able to take our local curriculums in all of the core subject areas and turn it into a virtual education instead of an in-person. And so basically we just found ways to change the activities from things we would do in the classroom to doing them over a screen. And we use Zoom for our our live lessons, whether that's in small group or individual or the whole class together. Katie mentioned we use Seesaw at the kindergarten level, and then 1st through 4th, Liz and I use Google Classroom to manage assignments and lessons. As far as other tools, we are using a laptop and document camera. It's kind of fun to see each other's setups. At home, I've got 2 screens, and my son made me a standing desk so that my back doesn't hurt. And so we're modifying all kinds of ways to turn teaching to the virtual atmosphere. We use various websites to utilize some skill work, and those try to change it up a little bit. But basically, we're able to take our local curriculum and still use those same resources the kids are using at school. So our virtual kids have their workbooks at home, their textbooks are at home with them. So they're doing things in their workbooks. I have the older kids, so of course there's a little more independence. And so they have learned how to send pictures to me, attach them to Google Classroom, so that I can correct their work and see what kinds of things they're doing well with and where I need to focus more instruction. And then, of course, the other thing we have is each other. So we are constantly learning from each other. I know those first few weeks, Katie and Liz and I would have a Zoom at least once a day, if not twice a day, just like practicing with each other. All right, what does this look like if I do this on my screen? Are you seeing that? Just so that we knew, at least we looked like we knew what we were doing at the beginning. But now it's becoming comfortable. The kids are comfortable. I have those older kids and they are teaching me things every day. You know, I'll do something and they'll say, Mrs. Tunks, it's easier if you just do this and this and this. It's like, great idea. Thank you for showing me. And the other thing that I really like that I taught my older kids is how to use Google Hangouts. And so they can chat with each other, and that helps with that social piece. They can also send me a message to say, can you help me? And if I'm available, I can click the video chat button and log right on immediately with them. So I personally think that's the best thing I have taught the kids, because it has helped the communication piece tremendously. Liz.
Okay, I'm going to share the piece about what is working with virtual learning, and Sarah covered a lot of that. I can add to that from the teacher's point of view. I think we're seeing some really high levels of growth, even virtually, probably because we have that more individualized time with the students. We're able to do one-on-one or very small group quite often, and kind of that flexibility to be able to react to what they know and what they need, and where we should go from there. I know as teachers, we're feeling very appreciated, especially by parents. Parents are very appreciative that they have this option, that the district has offered this, and that they're comfortable. The older students are more responsible for learning, and just both students and teachers are feeling like we're in a safe environment. I'll just share some quotes with you from the parents' point of view. With the virtual learning, I'd say all of us can say that we've had a major increase in communication with families, because they are really kind of our co-workers in delivering and helping and directing. And so we all have done, very, very regular communication. But in addition to that, we also sent out surveys just to give us feedback, honest feedback about suggestions and what they do like, what they're using, what they don't like, and amount of time kids are on the screen and all of that, so that we can adjust what we're doing. So here's some of the quotes that we got from those surveys, and this is K through 4. What we asked, what do you like about virtual learning? We have consistency. My child is feeling safe and ready to learn each day. Staying healthy. Being involved in my child's education, spending more one-on-one time together, more family time, experimenting with creative learning, flexibility. I think you've put together an incredible, sensible, productive way to teach virtually. It's well organized and teachers are great to work with. The best thing about virtual learning is all the extra time I get to spend with my children. I do like the way yours is set up with live things and things we can do on our own time. That way things in the home are able to be done also. I've heard about other local schools and how they're doing things, and that gives me anxiety for them. We utilize the checklist for the week so we know if we're getting everything accomplished. I like that my child can get help when he needs it by logging into a help session or video chatting with the teacher. Being more independent and responsible for completing assignments has been nice to see. We have been very pleased with virtual learning so far. The curriculum feels nice and balanced. My child is not getting bored and feels excited almost every single day. The combination of live and recorded lessons is helpful. Live lessons make kids feel like they're learning together. Thank you so much for your excellent work. Working together as a family, siblings enjoy helping each other out, seeing their confidence and excitement soar as they grow and learn. Adding our own little spin to the curriculum, like art projects, outdoor exploring, or simply choosing a new topic to learn about. I'll turn it over to Montessori, and then I think Pat asked us to also do one challenge that we have. So we'll keep on the positive note, and I'll send it over to Montessori now.
Sure, thank you. We're sticking to kind of that same layout. So our schedule, so I'll talk about our daily schedule here. Erin and I have worked really hard in trying to communicate with one another. Erin is teaching E1, so 1st through 3rd grade, and I'm teaching the E2, which is 4th through 6th grade Montessori virtual land. And we're trying to really mimic one another's schedule so that families who are engaged in both E1 and E2 are kind of familiar with what we both offer. So we both open up with a morning meeting. It's live, and we use Zoom for that. And then from day to day, we have our Montessori lessons. And so both of us are doing a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th grade lesson. No, just kidding. 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, and a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade lesson each day. And it's going very well, and they're all synchronous, so it's all live lessons. The only time we have recording is like I do a read aloud recording. Sometimes we might re-record a lesson or a follow-up just in case it was unclear in that live session. We have daily check-ins. So we have a check-in time in the morning, and then they have check-in time in the afternoon where they can talk with their teachers face-to-face in Google Meet or Zoom. Sorry, Erin, I'm tapping into your little section there. We both have reading groups and novel study. So children are still getting their reading instruction through like small group work and a common story and follow-ups. We have a Monday through Thursday, or E1 has a Monday through Thursday writing or a craft time with Miss Jill. So they have that opportunity in the afternoon to partake in like some extra writing work or a craft work with Jill Dixon. If any of you know her handiwork, it's pretty awesome that she has that offered for E1. The other part of our day, as a couple of those other teachers mentioned, is the constant communication. So when we're not engaged in the things that I just mentioned, it's always communicating with, I like what you called it, coworkers, our parents. It's always, and one another, and trying to stay engaged with the rest of the district and trying to stay on top of it. And the kids are getting really strong with their technology use and their emails. So when they're not checking in, they're checking in still via email. So that's definitely part of our schedule. Erin, you want to add to that?
So the tools that we use, as Sarah mentioned, we're using Google Classroom at the 1st to 6th grade level here. And so we thought it was important to keep one platform since we share many families. I think we have 10 students that overlap between our 2 rooms. So we're trying to keep as much consistent as possible with Google Classroom. And we also use both Zoom and Google Meets, as Hannah mentioned. So Zoom is all of our live lessons. I also use Zoom for my office hours, trying to keep it consistent for those younger kids. Hannah also uses Google Meets, which has some advantages for the older kids. So we have those office hours every day, both in the morning and the afternoon. And those are very, very busy times for our kids checking in. Other tools that are really helpful and document cameras. Hannah and I use those frequently, multiple times every day. It's great for the Montessori materials. We have all the hands-on materials to be able to have a camera that points down on our desk or our table to present to the kids to mimic how it would be in the classroom has been really important. Another tool that we use, Hannah more than I, is some pre-recorded lessons for Screencastify. We use that to pre-record lessons, and oftentimes even just a quick recording to post onto Google Classroom after the live lesson. So if a parent, especially for my first grade group, wants to know like, okay, what is my kid supposed to do with this lesson? They can watch that short video and know what to do without having to watch the 20-minute presentation. And then the probably most important tools we're using in the Montessori world is a paper, pencil, and Montessori materials. So we do give live lessons, but their work is predominantly on paper and pencil. We don't want them on a computer all day long. So once they go to their live lesson, each of our main lessons usually has like a work that's associated with it to follow up. It usually takes maybe an hour to hour and a half, those follow-up works, depending what subject area it is. And that is predominantly paper, pencil, and using those Montessori materials that we've recreated and sent home to the kids so they can have that hands-on experience. So Hannah, back to you for the next section.
I'll piggyback on that too. Something that's, so I'm sharing like what's working for us really well. And one thing that Erin mentioned was the trying to get kids off the screen and understand that when they're on screen, it's like with lessons, we're trying not to say that's screen time because that isn't, it's like it's lesson time, but for their follow-up works and everything else that kids can get distracted with, we're trying to, really minimize that. So what's working really well is our fine-tuned use of technology. I think it took us 10 weeks now to really feel like we're in a right spot. And we're really trying to balance that. And something we're trying to balance that with is something we were doing was Friday outings. And now we've kind of switched to innings, and it's just a time for the kids to socialize and stay connected through group experience. And that has been working really well, and the kids and parents and families all look forward to that. So that's been going really well. Liz mentioned like the amount of growth that's been happening with students in this setting. And it is likewise in the Montessori virtual world. Like it is this model is highly successful for many students. And their sense of accountability and responsibility is up. And I think it's because like they feel a little bit more independent and really in control and safe and comfortable. And I really think that has aided to their success there. Very awesome connections with the students, and it seems very similar to like a normal year. During those check-ins, the kids can stop in for help, but they can also come in and to socialize, and we get to know them a little bit better, and that's been a lot of fun. For many families that chose this option, their child is thriving because they feel safe. They're still with a live teacher. They're still with their classmates. They have a parent at home, many of them, or at least they're connecting with their parent about school every single day. And we're really able to like maintain our Montessori philosophy in the light of COVID as best as we can, and with materials, even though they're homemade, even though it's not in a classroom where you're visualizing, you're seeing multi-age students all the time. We're trying as hard as we can to keep it as like, you know, independent, creative thinking, and still with that philosophy of whole child learning. So I think we're doing pretty well with that. That's what's working. Do we move on to challenges now, you guys?
Yeah. So real quick on challenges, it's been fabulous. I couldn't imagine how great it has really gone. But the couple challenges that we do face, I mean, one is simply like internet connectivity. Like this morning, Vernon Communications had a widespread outage, and 3 of my kids missed their main presentation, which means office hours was longer and redoing like big presentations for individual kids. So that's one, but that doesn't happen that often, but it's definitely a challenge. The accountability on one end, it's almost more accountability for many students, but it's just a little bit slower feedback sometimes. And that's something that we've gotten better at as the 10 weeks has gone on, but it's hard to like a kid do a spelling quiz and then tell them what they got right 2 weeks later doesn't really help that much. And so trying to figure out how to give that kind of more immediate feedback has been a challenge, but it's working pretty well. And ideally, you know, I would love the fact that we wouldn't have to rely on families, that we could just do it with the kids 100% and be that total teacher for them. But that's definitely a challenge, is relying on those parents for that help, especially with my first years where we're, you know, they're pretty young and need a little more help. And so as they get older, we need less and less. But that's been a challenge, to just rely a little more heavily on parents than ideally we would have hoped when we set out at the start. But all in all, it has been a incredible experience for as a teacher and for the students. So I don't know if Liz, you wanted to go back to any challenges, or are you just going to end it positive?
We could do that, Erin. I don't think I have a lot to add to that. I would just say being, especially at the beginning of the year, being your own tech department for every family and every kid, because we're not one-to-one with our devices, you are troubleshooting every kind of device as far as getting connected and program use and just what it looks like from their end. I became even better friends with Joe Hatlin at the beginning of the year. We hung out almost every day at the beginning of the year for sure, for hours on end. Google, just like how do you screen share? How do you tether another monitor? All of those things you can Google, and videos and YouTube. Yeah, I mean, you have to think back to March and how much different everything was in March. I think for many of us, I had hardly used Google Classroom before March. I had definitely not used Zoom. They didn't even know it existed. So just the learning curve has been steep, but I think a quarter into the year and feeling pretty comfortable is a good feeling.
And my only things to add for challenges would be that balance of screen time and paper, pencil, you know, things, so that the students aren't spending the majority of their day on the screen. So keeping that for live lessons so that they can go away from the screen to complete their day. The other challenge, which I think is a good thing, you know, I've taught 3rd grade forever, and this year I am teaching 3rd and 4th grade, and so learning another curriculum. And you know, I have 2 math lessons every day. I have 2 reading lessons, 2 writing lessons, and learning a new curriculum. And whenever family or friends ask me about my year, I say it is professionally challenging, but in a good way. Like it's something new to challenge myself on. And so I have really enjoyed that. So it's a challenge, but I have enjoyed the challenge.
The only other thing I would add too is the hardest part for me would be that social piece. I mean, I can try to set up small groups where they can talk, but they don't know how to interact through a computer. So that's been tricky, but if anybody has any great ideas.
You have the littles.
Yeah, and they're little and very dependent, many of them. But we're doing all right. We're trying. We keep trying new things and see where it takes us. Every month, reevaluate, try something new.
Well, and I'll go ahead and end this on a positive if you guys are okay with that. Thank you guys so much. When we're looking at this and where we were in August, and I want you to go back to that place, right, where we were saying, hey, in August, hey, go do this. And, you know, we're going to be there to support you, but we are not the experts in this. We don't have any idea on how this should look. As we were going through this, to say that we have a product like we have right now, I can't tell you how proud I am of the quality that you guys are able to put out to our staff, or to our students. And the majority of you on this call did provide professional development for our staff just a couple of weeks ago, in not necessarily anticipation, but you know, trying to ready our staff for in the event that we needed to go and pivot to a virtual environment. Obviously, that has proven that was a need to this point, but thank you guys so much for stepping up and truly taking ownership of this, making it your own programs, and then even spreading the knowledge that you've recently acquired to your peers. So I truly appreciate it. Thank you for everything that you've done so far. Thank you.
So are there any board members that have any questions for our virtual educators that presented tonight? And I'm going to kind of count backwards for 5 seconds to give you the opportunity to unmute yourself. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. With no one else having a question, it would just be not right on me. So first of all, I want to duplicate what Tom said, and I want to thank all of you for your professionalism, the experiences that you've given to our other staff, and the principal's notes about your presentations. It sounds like they were just phenomenal, and everyone is very impressed by them. If you all can figure out how to have relationships via Zoom, please let me know, because I'm done over here. I mean, it's just not the same, no matter how you slice it. And I think that's very difficult for all of us that are a bit on the social side. And then the other thing, one of the questions that I have is, do you foresee students and families choosing this virtual education in the future? With the comments, anyone answer that question?
The only information I have about that question is just for this year. At conferences, parents have told me, you know, whether they're planning to stop at semester or fulfill the full year. And all of my students want the full year experience. But beyond that, I guess I have not had a discussion about that.
Okay, that's interesting to know.
I would add, Angie, I have heard some parents who have loved it so much that they have talked about, like, is this going to be something going forward? And I'm anxious to get back to the classroom. I've loved this, but I don't know if we'd have enough kids where we could actually run it in a future year. I mean, that would be my thing, but it's been awesome. And part of me thinks I should be saving more of my stuff because I might do it again. And I'm optimistic, so I'm not saving stuff because we hope not to be. But there is some interest, but I don't know if it'd be high enough.
I'm not one to typically save things, but I think you should all save what you're doing. I mean, you just might even find that you can integrate it in your classroom once you go back to that face-to-face. I think there's some real great things that you can do when you're trying to reach different children for different purposes. But I mean, that's just my opinion for what it's worth. But you're putting so much time and creativity in what you're creating, you know, for your students now. It'd be a shame to not perhaps use it in the future. Does anyone else have anything that you would like to add as far as the future of virtual education? Anything the board should be aware of?
I think I would just add that I have had several parents mention that had this not been an option, they probably would have homeschooled.
Mhm.
And so I think we saved quite a few students from that. I don't know what our numbers are of how many did go as homeschooled. But I do have several families that said, I've always toyed with the idea of homeschooling, and now with COVID, and then this offering, they took us up on it.
Mhm. I think there's just a lot more time that goes into this than what people are aware. As independent as as they get older, they also have completely different needs, and all of those things take time. And it seems to be what less of is time, especially when you're working full time and raising a family. So I just thank your dedication to our students, and our family. We can't thank you enough for everything you've done. So with that,
Thank
go
you.
on. Does anyone else have anything to say? That's the also awkward part of Zoom, is I don't know, can't have eye contact with everyone. So I will continue, but once again, thank you. The next item on is public comment, which we have. Item 6 is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Notice approval of agenda October minutes and voucher summary 1 in the amount of $278,109.97. And I'd like you to please state your name as your motion and your second, and also say your name when you say aye, so that we has approved. So is there a motion?
Kim making the motion.
Matt, second.
All right. Is there any discussion? With that, all in favor, aye with your name. Angie?
Amanda. Aye.
Vicky,
Matt.
aye.
All right. Unanimously approved. Item 7, motion to approve in the amount of $200,830.20 presented.
Amanda, so move.
Matt, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Amanda, aye.
Matt, aye.
Vicky, aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Kim, aye.
Kim, did you abstain or did you vote?
I abstain this month, and then I'll vote after
I
this.
just wanted to double check this month. All right, motion is approved. Next item, there are donations in the total amount of $3,375. Various local businesses, $305. Book of the month, anonymous donation amount of $3,000 for staff and students. Thanks for their generosity. Is there a motion?
Matt, so moved.
Second?
Marina.
Second, Marina. All in favor, vote. Angie?
Amanda, aye.
Matt,
Vicky, aye.
Is that everyone? Right, motion carried. In green for you. Aid Riley, society advisor, boys hockey coach, Trevor Brady, JV girls basketball. Is there a motion?
Amanda, Kim, so so move. move.
Okay, that's a motion by Amanda. All in favor, say aye. Angie, aye.
Amanda, aye.
Matt, aye.
Vicky, I.
Bird is have the that Beth. I'm guessing that she did. The next item, that would be a unanimous vote. Next item is job update. A motion to approve the update job description for Tom Burkhalter. Is there a motion?
So move, Kim.
Second,
Marina, second.
any discussion?
This is Ken. I just want to say, I think it's a very comprehensive rewrite, and I appreciate that.
Great. Tom did have a couple. Tom, did you have anything that you wanted to bring out, or clear as mud?
No, I think it's extremely well written as well. And I appreciate that it is very specific and there's not really a question of what the expectations are. And that's what I do appreciate that.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Marina, aye.
Kim, aye.
Matt, aye.
Unanimous. The next item is policy update. Approve the policy as presented and listed. Is there a motion?
Kim, so move.
Second? Is there a
Second.
any discussion? I'll just say these were all discussed last month, so there aren't the board meeting last month. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Angie, aye.
Amanda,
Matt, aye.
Vicky,
Marina,
I.
aye.
All right, motion carried unanimously. Thank you to the policy committee for their work on these policies. There's an information 2022 school calendar. Tom, would you like to speak to the calendar?
Certainly I can. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. So the 2021-22 calendar, very similar to this year, so please look that over. We did not, unfortunately, we had to cancel our DLT meeting this last week as we had an announcement of that transition, which was supposed to be on Tuesday after school. And so during that meeting, we were going to be talking through the 2021-22 calendar and some of those options. So we will bring this back to you again here in December once the DLT has had a chance to look at that and seek some feedback from their peers.
And if there are any board members that have any information, please contact Tom and let him know if there's some conflict you're aware that perhaps the administrators might not have known about. So thank you for that. Item is the health plan. I bring us update.
Angie, you were just cutting out there a little bit, so I'm assuming you've handed it over to me. Is that correct? Okay. So yeah, this is our annual health plan review, and I just need to share my screen with you real quickly. And can everybody see that then? And I have to go over to here. It's kind of fun driving with this many monitors, but it does, it's a bit of a challenge. So we have our 2019-20.
I'm interrupt you for 1 second. Could everyone please mute themselves so there's not the feed you.
Is it good now? You didn't want me to mute myself, did you, Angie? Okay. So, and I can't see anything right now, so I'm just going to keep going and interrupt if you guys have any questions. So, again, components of our district healthcare costs. We've talked about this in the past, but for those of you that haven't been through this, I just want you to understand that we are a self-funded health care plan. And when we talk about health insurance costs, we're actually talking about as health care costs. And really, they're made up of three different I guess, legs to the stool as to your total cost for a year. And you have your fixed costs, which are your administrative fees, usually done on a per pupil or a per member basis. Fees paid to Kunkel and Associates. Auxiant is our third-party administrator, and other vendors for advisory fees, utilization reviews, access fees, and required federal fees. We then have stop loss aggregate insurance, which we purchase. Think of that as, again, your out-of-pocket maximum, your deductible, if you will, or your maximum out of pocket. And then you've got your specific insurance that we also purchase. And if you think of that as your deductible, in our case, it's our $70,000 per individual that the district pays the first $70,000 of the health plan or the healthcare costs. And then after that, an insurance company comes out. We've got payments to providers, medical services, and then payments to providers for prescription drugs. And that's pretty much the components of your costs of your healthcare plan. If you look at our fixed costs since 2011 all the way through 2020 now, our total fixed costs this year were $615,618, covering 154 on average, I guess, per month employees. And that's not covered individuals, that's enrollment of single and family plans. The cost when you break that component down on a fixed cost basis is about $175.38 on the single and $396.35 on the family. If you do look at that, that was actually a decrease last year, and that was during the 1920 renewal, our fixed costs actually were projected to go down, and that was good there. The other component then, of course, is paid claims, which does include the prescription drugs. We had gross claims this year of just under 2.4 million. 165,000 of those were paid for by that stop loss reinsurance or that stop loss insurance. So we went over 70,000 on a couple, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, where we recovered some of those costs, bringing our total net paid claims to 2,232,984. As you can tell, that was actually an increase from the last year, even though we had stop loss reimbursement of 311,000 in the previous year and actually higher gross claims. Those that went over that 70,000 were just that much more and that more expensive. When you break down that on a per unit or per single plan or per family plan cost per month, that's $636.13 and $1,437.66 on the family. The district total cost, then, if you take your fixed plus your net paid claims, that's your total cost. On a single basis, that's $811.51, and on the family, that's $1,834.02 per month on an actual cost basis. And as you can tell, we really haven't fluctuated that much going all the way back to 2011 when you look at the overall cost of things. And these are actual costs for, incurred costs, both fixed and, money that we paid out directly, not paid to an insurance agency or health plan. These are reflective of our actual healthcare dollars. So then we have the premium equivalency. And what we have to do every year is take a look and what are we charging our employees and the district for that health plan so that we can cover those costs without having to, shift other money budgeted elsewhere, I guess is the best way. We do our best to try to predict where we're going to be at. And what we do is every year in the spring of the year, we start obtaining quotes on the fixed costs. And that's the biggest, portion because it helps us then everything else. And what they'll basically do is they'll give us the cost to purchase the stop loss. You know, how much will it be for a 70 or an 80 or a 90 or a $25,000 stop loss coverage. Then the other thing that they also do is they give us what's called the aggregate stop loss coverage. So they give us that estimated maximum out of pocket. And as I've always said, you know, the insurance companies, this is where they make their money. They take a look at our demographics, at our enrollment, and they say, you know, for a school district with teachers and, you know, and they take all that information and they say, we expect you're going to have costs of X. We're going to insure a little bit higher than that to cover ourselves so that we don't have to pay, but yet we still got to be competitive and we'll do it for this dollar amount. So there's that bidding process that goes through based on how they think our plan is going to go. And of course, I don't have to deal with this. We use our consultant, our third-party administrators to help us with that. And then we bid out our third-party administrator. This would be our second year with Auxient, and to bid that every year would be a stress on the staff and on us. You know, we get processes set up. We don't have any intention of doing that, but through that process, I think we ended up with Auxient, and after 7 years, I think it was, with 3PA and then BPA, it was the right time for us to make that move. And then as part of the renewal process, as I said, the stop loss providers establish an aggregate amount, and that out-of-pocket maximum that results in the insurance company paying for costs in excess of that established. And, you know, as I've shared in the past, we don't budget for the worst case scenarios. That's kind of a rhetorical question because we've only had the worst case scenario once in the existence of our self-funded plan. So what we do is we take a look at it, you know, our expected. And actually, I'm sorry that the maximum should equal the same on that. That didn't get updated last night, I guess. We didn't have any lasers in excess of $70,000, and so the claims expected, we used this year an 80% amount. So the claims expected on the maximum would be the $2,890,000, and that's the amount of the attachment point that the aggregate attachment point that they put in there. And we used in amount 80% of that for our expected, and that then equaled $2,931,000. And again, I'm sorry that number $3,463,000 should actually be up about $35,000 if I'm looking at that right. So just under 3.5 million. Premium equivalency, using our enrollment and anticipated enrollment, where we're at, number of family and singles, and what we're going to charge. And we try to take a look at how much fund balance we would use. And actually, in a worst case scenario, we would, you know, eat $500 and some thousand of our fund balance up. But again, we've only done that once in all the time that we've been here. Or that we've been self-insured, and the health insurance fund balance used, actually we would create a little bit more this year, 15,000. But again, that's the difference of basically one family or single, a family becoming a single, or an S, you know, I mean, that number doesn't, it's not going to result in that, but that's the basis of which we use to set our rates. Are there claim statistics? If you look at a large claim, so in 2019-20, we had 450 people at one time, you know, so that would be husbands, wives, children, anybody else that is covered under our plan, under those plans. So 450 people were enrolled in the plan, and total paid claims were $2,398,023. 15 members had large claims, defined as those exceeding 50% of the stop or the max or the stop loss amount of 70,000 of the specific amount, 50% of the specific amount. And so 15 members had those large claims of $35,000 or more, of which 829,000 or 34% of the total. So another way to look at that is of the 450 people covered, 15 individuals accounted for 34% of our paid claims. And that, as you can tell, is actually very, very common. And that's what scares a lot of people away from self-insurance is, yeah, but what those big, so, this year there was 15 people, and that's why that number got so high, where last year we only had 9 for basically the same amount of money. We had fewer higher cost ones. This year we had more in that $35,000 to $50,000 range, and that's just the way, as you can tell, that's been pretty consistent with, occasionally we have had both a lot in that $50,000 to $70,000 range and a number of them over 70,000. But that wasn't the case, in this year. I think we had, of the 15 members in 1920, 3 exceeded the specific deductible of 70,000, resulting in $165,039 paid by the stop loss carrier. So I've mentioned a couple of times fund balance, and what's been good is we've been able to set aside funds that we had budgeted for in previous years and didn't need to spend on healthcare costs and set that money aside. Now, we have worked on trying to cut this down because just continuing to grow that fund balance, that is money that could be spent, either on staffing or on a bus, let's say. We have done that in the past, where we had to make a decision when we budget our health insurance to cut something else, that to be able to pull that back in now is a nice thing we have, while still maintaining the stability without having to increase our rates as natural inflationary costs come up. In April of 2014, January of 2018, 19, and 20, we did not charge the district or their employees their monthly premiums. This reduced fund balance by around $240,000 each year, because that's about the amount that was forgiven, I guess you would say, or not charged for that month that we did. It's about a $240,000 amount. In 2016-17, the premium equivalent that we charged increased 3.5%. The 17-18 premiums were established back at the 15-16 amounts. And we're at that 2,885. In 18-19, premiums were reduced an additional 5% to 1,900, 841, and we have maintained those rates since that time. And as we saw earlier, that's been a very good, that's probably where the rates should settle at on an annual basis right now. If you look at the history of premiums, community plan only, we have the family premium charge, the single premium charge. It was $1,900 and $841 this year for family and single. When you look at the actual, we were at $1,834.02 and $811.51. So why was the excess premium received a negative number, even though the $1,900 was in excess of it? That reflects that 1 month that we did not charge the staff. If we wouldn't have had that, we probably would have increased our fund balance, or we would have received excess premiums by an additional $90,000 or so. As that goes. Most of you remember the biggest change that came to our plan and actually helped us was when we shifted to the Alliance Healthcare Cooperative. And as a member of that cooperative, they negotiate discounts with providers, in network providers. And as you can tell, for September through August 2020, our total charges that were ran through the network were $3,231,769. Those were discounted $1,291,904, 40%, leaving us with discounted charges of $1,939,865. Since we've started, as you can tell, the discount is almost $5 million, or averaging savings of 40.69%. Now we got negotiated discounts, so this isn't a one for one. We're doing so much, but I mean, us on our own, Viroqua area schools was able to get nice discounts from Vernon Memorial Healthcare, nice discounts from Gunderson Lutheran, but not the types of discounts that we have. And in doing this and joining this Alliance Cooperative, we also have opened up the Madison market to us, and we do have some staff that have had great results with their service down at UW, and I can't remember the other one that they have been utilizing in that Madison area. In addition to Gunderson and Vernon Memorial Healthcare, and they are all in network in this also. Obviously, this year I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about 2021 and what we're looking at right now. And through the renewal, as I showed earlier, it really didn't affect COVID-19 did not affect our renewal remarkably, anyways. I mean, I kind of feared that it would, and what we have found is obviously inpatient recoveries related to COVID would be expensive, but they would be, we would go to that 70,000 deductible or that 70,000 specific amount, and stop loss insurance would pay, and they must not have anticipated that in building our rates. Additional testing and office visits are anticipated. That might be in next year's or 2 years. I mean, I think one of the bigger fears in the healthcare, other than their acute problems they're having right now, is what kind of preventative services are people putting off? Are they getting those mammograms? Are they getting those cancer screenings? And if not, is that going to cause us more problems in the future? And I think we will see that in our health plan costs going forward. Actually, if you look at what happened starting in March, our plan costs, decreased significantly on a per person. We had a couple of large cost ones that, kept our costs up, but I think those routine office visits and some of those other things were just put off until later in the summer when things started opening back up, and some people haven't made it back to their doctor yet. Last year, before we knew what COVID was, obviously, we really started, we listened to the staff, and one of the things that kept coming out was a formal wellness plan. And so we had delayed doing it for a number of years. The cost is, there is a cost to running a robust and good wellness plan. The thought process is, though, you'll recover those costs in a healthier staff. But for us, it also became important just to, with the investing in our staff and their mental and their physical well-being both, it was a real good time for us to get that going. And we, had a nice little kickoff at the beginning of the year, and we were using Interactive Health as an organization. They did some biometric screenings, and we had reward challenges throughout the year, and it was going well. And then, of course, the brakes got put on, but people continued to do their reward challenges and everything, and it was really great. We had 53 employees that earned their goal of 250 points by doing various challenges, and they each received $200 in Viroqua bucks. And the committee thought it was a great idea, and it was actually everybody that we've talked to about this has said, yeah, that for a school district, that makes a lot of sense. When you explain what a Viroqua bucks is, instead of an Amazon gift card, we're giving scripts that they can use anywhere in Viroqua. They can use it at Walmart, they can use it at Quillen's, they can use it at the food co-op, they can use it uptown at any one of the shops, anybody that accepts their Viroqua bucks. And so the community is investing in the staff, and the staff is then returning that back into the community. And it was just a real good, win-win, and we felt really good about it. And I tell you all this to tell you that right after we got through the program, about June, we found out that Interactive Health was going out of business and that we would be starting over. So we do have a wellness plan. We now have partnered with another provider, and we're getting that going. But one of the challenges that we do have right now is our staff is stressed, and we have to be careful not to put a bunch of more stress on them in investing in their mental and physical well-being. So we're trying to balance that, but yet helping people understand that we really do feel this is important and that we want to move forward with it, both from the plan's benefit and for the employees' mental health benefit and everything. So some more should be rolling out. We're not going to be able to do biometric screenings this fall. I don't know if we could even get the staff, the healthcare staff to do that type of thing. We're still holding out that could be an option more towards the end, so people can see if things, improved from what they started last year, or as almost a kickoff for the next year, so that we can come back, even stronger next year. Does anybody have? I'm going to stop sharing if I can figure out how to do that, I guess. Does anybody have any questions?
So Mike, I'm just going to say thank you. That was a wonderful presentation, very in-depth. Thank you for the work that you're doing to reduce insurance costs for our district, educating our staff, as well as trying to initiate a wellness program when it's pretty darn complicated right now.
Yeah, those fun things, those challenges, even the fun runs, or I see Krista's on tonight, and she was all set to almost organize a Couch to 5K for the staff last spring, and we were just never able to do it. And it's going to be very hard to do that type of thing right now. We've got some really nice workout equipment that it just doesn't really lend itself to bringing a bunch of people in a room right now and working out together. But people get creative and they support each other, and I have faith in this group that we'll get something going here, and it'll be good. It'll be meaningful and good.
I've seen some real nice virtual yoga classes.
That was discussed. Yep.
Some things like that have been.
My family is doing the virtual turkey trot.
Okay.
Yep. It's the at-home edition is what they're calling it this year. And it's just something, we're not going to go anywhere for Thanksgiving, and it was something we could do. So we're going to do it. We'll see.
Well, that sounds great. So thank you.
Yep.
It was a great presentation. So thank you. And the next item then is Tom with his school updates.
Yeah, so obviously we have a very large change that we are beginning really today. And I want to walk through that process a little bit, just because it is such a huge change. And as you guys know, I don't need to give you the numbers or anything. The community has grown in their COVID positive cases at an exponential level over the past month or so. And we were absolutely aware of that, and we were seeking guidance from the county and our medical advisory team. And for a while, we kind of had this, almost like a list of reasons that we could maintain and stay open during this pandemic. And that had everything to do from, not having a direct impact on our staff or students, as far as like direct correlation, between community numbers and what we were seeing. It was also, hey, we could adequately staff our buildings, all the way to, hey, our students seem to be pretty resilient against COVID-19. As we were going through from about a 72-hour period from Friday, what day was that? The 6th to Monday the 9th, it seemed like every call I had with the county was literally taking off one of those things off of our list. It was literally, we had calls on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday where we sat down and talking through the county through our situations that we were dealing with. And then on Monday, they had another terrible, a bad number that following Monday. And so as we were looking at this, Typically, the admin team looks at numbers. I mean, we look at numbers every day, but we typically get together and have conversations during our Wednesday admin meetings and really kind of take a look at, hey, how's the community doing? You know, what do we need to, you know, look at as we move forward? And so we got together on Monday, and then right away on Tuesday morning after those numbers came out, and we really just started talking about what is going, you know, is there anything that's going to change from here, you know, to Wednesday or Thursday that's going to make us, you know, feel more comfortable or safer? And the answer was no. And so instead of waiting until Wednesday or Thursday to make an announcement, we decided to make that announcement on Tuesday. We really had a fun day. I've got a few more gray hairs as we were going through that. I don't know if I've officially done this or apologize to administrators, but I am sorry for that day. As we were going through, though, I really thought we you know, came together as a team and were able to give our staff and our parents time, which you know, some schools are not necessarily offering that or affording that to their families to prepare. Now, that does not mean that our staff or our families were 100% ready for a transition like this. And I don't know how you could be, you know, truly 100% ready. And so as we were getting through, we did have, you know, 3 days where we could work and collaborate, and many of our teaching staff sent things home already on Friday. I want to give a big shout out to our supervisors, transportation, food service, technology, maintenance. I mean, this crew was absolutely terrific. In order to get our technology out by Friday to our families, internet hotspots, Chromebooks, laptops, everything by Friday, and to be able to have a meal plan ready to go by Monday today, it's just incredible. It's just incredible that we were able to function. This group, I can't begin. I can't begin to say how grateful I am for this admin team, the supervisors, and also the staff in general. We did have 450 meals delivered today, which would have been ×2. So I believe that puts us at 900 meals today. Is that right, Beth? So 900 meals that we were able to give out today, which is just, I get goosebumps, right? I get goosebumps thinking about that we were able to provide that in this type of situation. And that number is only going to grow. That's a huge number for day one of a program like this. And that's really going to grow as more and more people continue to pursue that and to seek more information about that. As we go forward, we are going to be virtual with our first day coming back on December 7th. Now, virtual means different things for different groups. So at our younger levels, that really means remote. That really means that we're providing resources, and Mr. Ober can probably touch base on this later. But we're providing resources and still doing check-ins and with families and everything. But just the access to technology that that we don't have right now in order to provide to our families. On top of that's a really tough age to kind of throw thing, have everybody jump into something like this. Has been something that again it looks different everywhere on every level. As we go through, I'm extremely excited about how the staff has responded. This has been an all hands on deck approach, and I can absolutely say that. We say, we're all in this together, and the collaboration that has happened over the past almost week now, 6 days, has been tremendous. We were able to get elementary their packets, all of their supplies were picked up today. From 2 to 4. I have not heard a report yet on how that has gone, so don't. I think it went well. Pat, give me a thumbs up there. All right, and we, I'm again extremely excited that we're able to continue this in this way. It was the right time for us, as the impact for the community from the community to the buildings. Trying to staff our buildings right now, it's incredibly difficult. On top of, you know, not only positives that we were experiencing throughout the staff, we also have multiple staff members in quarantine for being close contacts. And so to trying to, I believe that Friday was 14 staff members out. I believe we had 5 or 6 days in a row where we had multiple positions unfilled. And I mean, we pushed things around. Thank you, Kathy. We shuffled things around. Thank you all of the support staff that had to be put into classrooms that they weren't prepared for. So we could shift and still provide some sort of education to kiddos. But it was just not sustainable for us right now. I'm hopeful that our staff can get healthy over these next few weeks, and I'm very hopeful that our community can turn this around. We will reevaluate the week before that, but we are excited to welcome students back on December 7th. We did the December 7th for a variety of reasons, but the main one was giving some time in between that Thanksgiving holiday and having students back in the buildings. So what we didn't want is to bring everybody back on Monday and then be shut down, middle of that week. We did not want that. And so again, while I absolutely believe, in this community that we're going to continue, to be able to offer, in-person learning. We also know that there are families that are going to be deer hunting and celebrating Thanksgiving and really giving some of that separation. So we've had almost 10 days now built in from that holiday to when we're back in person. So I felt really good about that, as well as our admin team, about that being the day that we were going to come back. These type of decisions are not easy. This was a very difficult decision. And again, I do not joke where I say, I think I've got a few more gray hairs. So as we're moving forward, I truly am very appreciative to the community that in the way that they've responded, overwhelmingly positive, understanding where we were and the situation that we find ourselves in now. And this is absolutely not a decision we ever wanted to make. But I'm proud of the way that we've rolled this out, and I'm proud of the way that our staff, our families, our students have responded. It is truly a great community, a great school board, a great staff. I could not be happier or more proud of how we've responded. So that was really deep. That was not a typical district administrator report, but I thought that this was really important for us to walk through this process because this was one that happened rapidly. It was one that we were, what I would say for, we're not planning for this, but we were preparing for this. There's a little bit of a difference there. We weren't, Krista combined with our virtual teachers did provide some phenomenal PD for our staff about this transition, and we're going to continue to use them as the new experts that they're becoming, to continue to help us with that and provide quality instruction. Big thing now is staying connected with these families over the next 3 weeks. That is going to be our most difficult challenge, and one that we have to take head on. And I know that our staff is up to the task.
So Tom, thank you very much. Do any board members have any questions for Tom at this time? Once again, I'm going to count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So once again, thank you. Thank you for your leadership. I would love to say that I'm surprised that we had to go 100% virtual, but I'm not. I know 7 through 12 has been partially virtual. I'm hopeful that that transition will be perhaps a little bit easier for them. I'm also hopeful with the leadership of our staff that has been teaching virtually, that they will then be able to assist those that have not been teaching virtually and moving forward. And I know that you've been planning, all of you have been planning for this, even through May of last year. So thank you for your concerns of our staff and our students and our families, and making the right decision to shut down at the appropriate time. So thank you for that. The next item is the administrator reports. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to have Pat go first, and then with each person, I'm going to have you go ahead and report on the other topics that are underneath the administrative reports, if that's okay with you. So we'll start with Pat.
All right, good evening. So parent-teacher conferences for elementary and Montessori, we tried, since it is I'm new and it's a new year, and I've heard I can use that I'm new for like 3 or 5 months or years. I wasn't sure which, but and it's a unique year. So we thought we'd try something different, and 3 to 5 minutes was it? Try to have a window of time. So report cards went home on November 10th. So teachers can have their parent-teacher conferences from November 10th through the 24th of November. Just to make it, our teachers are working extremely hard everywhere across the district. So make it a little more, hopefully, convenient to them, and also to parents when it works for families. So those are still ongoing, but some positive feedback from both families and staff. And then our professional development on October 30th. Again, Krista Woodward was really key in helping to plan that, but we came up with a choose your own adventure for our staff. And again, it was led by their colleagues, who reported out tonight. So we had Seesaw Basic and Intermediate, Google Classroom Basic and Intermediate. How do you plan out a virtual classroom and staying connected with kids? And then also some video editing. And I'm sure Kim Little knows a little about this as well, that it's not easy for staff to present and teach to their colleagues. They're very comfortable in front of kids and they could do that all day, but when they turn that and have to teach adults and their colleagues, it's not as comfortable. So they did a great job. I think people feel a lot more comfortable with these tools. I wouldn't say they're ready to jump in and do it 100%, but I think some found it much easier, like, oh, we can do this. We can start to dabble and learn more. We did an exit survey that was extremely positive. Everyone, felt it was valuable. Quality instruction was a good use of time, and really the feedback was they want more time to, it takes time to play with these tools and get to know how to use them. And that's what we're looking for to build in on November 25th, is kind of take the next step of, okay, you've learned some things. where could you take this now? And maybe have some sort of discussions and roundtable of what are some tricks and tips that everybody has learned and are starting to use now. So it was a very, very positive day.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you for offering that to our staff as well. It sounds like it went extremely well. So thank you very much. And I'm afraid that you're as new as everybody else right now with everything going on. So that's why I only give you a couple of minutes. I think everybody's going through a growth period right now. So we'll then continue with John, if you would like to present to your items, reports, please.
Thanks, Angie. Hey, everyone. So I want to start with parent-teacher conferences. They went, obviously, as we engage in every new endeavor here, virtually or remotely, we're always kind of curious to see how things go. And the feedback I received from teachers when we discussed it was interesting. One teacher said that they had several parents say they were actually thankful for the virtual conferences because the whole social setting of conferences is high stress for them. So I guess it's something I never really thought about, but it was. They were very thankful for the virtual opportunity, the remote opportunity. So that was interesting to hear. Probably the most interesting thing. As far as I know, all the parents that wanted to join or link did. I was kind of expecting a few emails or a couple of phone calls saying, hey, John, I couldn't connect. My link didn't work or wouldn't work, my technology failed me or whatever. But I didn't hear a single situation of that occurring. So it may have, but I guess I don't know of one. So interestingly, some of our teachers teamed up. So as parents joined the link, they had 2 teachers, which was fantastic, I think. They had the chance to talk to 2 teachers simultaneously. And we actually had a few teachers, some of the specialist teachers, say they actually had more parents than usual. I think, and I just attribute that to the comfort of the virtualness, so that the parents felt more at ease and could, join their Zoom link and talk to their teachers without the stress of coming in person. So it was good. We had, I think, very close to about the same number of parents join the Zoom meetings or phone calls as a regular parent-teacher conference. Obviously, our 5th and 6th grade scheduled, and our 7th and 8th grade was open house. And in the fall, we have a very high percentage of parents that attend. So, and how we did it was we had 5th grade in cohort A on the first night, and then 6th grade in cohort B kind of on the second night to try to break it up. 5th and 6th grade did both nights, but try to create the emphasis with that. And that really helped spread it out some. So it worked really well. As far as we know, the teachers said, if possible, could we offer this to parents in the future? The teachers would be here on site, and instead of the parents coming in, schedule a virtual conference instead of an in-person. But we're here in person just instead of them coming in. And I thought that's an interesting request, because I think we should follow up discussing that, and it's effortless on our behalf. And I think that would be a very a good thing to do for the future, even post-COVID. So our professional development, our staff in service, we every now and then, and if we go back in time, some of you that have been on the board for a while, we actually had our curriculum with a W written in there that this was a focus on writing. And we've been focused on using 6th trait writing, or the narrative of 6th trait, as kind of a common way to talk about writing, to teach writing, for students to look at the parts of writing for many years. I think it was in place even before I started. So, and it's very straightforward. It's language middle schoolers can understand. It's language that non-English teachers can understand. So it's good. We did a training at our first in-service about all teachers integrating this into their curriculum, into their instruction in some way. And one of the biggest questions that came out of that was, do I expect them to make this a new lesson, a different lesson, an entire different project? And I said, no, absolutely not. We should integrate writing into everything we do in some format. What this is really doing is ask students now to step it up and to engage in their own self-assessment of their writing, which is very different. We ask students to self-assess sometimes, but this is very challenging. And as we as professionals are asked to self-assess our work, we're a lot harder on ourselves than probably anyone else is or would be. And so it's a good process. I did have to cover, there was a special ed classroom a week ago or so. And when I went in there, I didn't know what the lesson was when I walked in to cover, but it was one of our social studies teachers wrapping up a screencastify lesson. And their segue was into a 6th trait writing, exactly what we talked about, integrating this in, and students going to self-assess. So my lesson then, what I was required to do was to teach a part of the 6th trait as they wrote their paragraphs on the lesson that they just received. So it was good, and they did a great job. It was really good. So in our upcoming staff development, what we're going to do is have 3 or 4 different groups, and teachers break into different groups for about 40 minutes, 30 minutes, and share what, just like we heard tonight from our elementary teachers, kind of the same process, is share what they're doing with Screencastify, Zoom, and Google Classroom, and then any other apps they've found applicable and helpful to teach the different, I don't want to call them platforms, but just different tools that they've discovered that have helped them. So, and I'm going to mix it up so the staff are with different staff, and then the final group will be with our grade level English language arts and math teachers with special ed, and then our social studies and specialist teachers as well. So hopefully what our next in-service is will be, hopefully it will be enlightening for each other to hear the breakthroughs that they've discovered and to share that out with each other. So our hope is big for that. So hopefully we'll see where it goes. And last that I want to report on is our winter co-curriculars, our athletics. We have how middle school does it for the board. We have like 4 weeks of boys basketball and then a little break, and then 4 weeks of girls basketball. So right now and then the club basketball is, the opposite. So we have boys basketball right now, school ball. 7th grade Shane Peterson is coaching, and we did, because our numbers are so slim, we did have some 6th graders play up. So we have 5 6th graders playing up and 8 7th graders. And then our 8th grade, Jess Murdoch is helping coach. And we have 9 8th grade athletes. And practice started, I think, November 2nd. And that's going strong. And wrestling, we're having sign up go on right now. And I'm not sure the exact start date, but hopefully we are able to get that launched. And I know it's been delayed a little bit with all of the COVID increase. So we'll have to wait to see exactly where wrestling goes in the future for middle school. So our hope is we can have, if not a season where there are competitions, at least practice so that the students can continue to learn their sport and to be engaged in it. Kids who are in athletics love it, the team, the camaraderie, everything that goes with it. It is a whole education in and of itself, and it's very valuable to students. So that is all I have. If you have any questions, I'd be willing to answer, but thank you.
John, I'm hopeful that via Zoom will continue, for example, in areas like parent-teacher conferences. I mean, I can just see how much more convenient that is, and you see the teacher and have that conversation. So I can see many parents choosing that for a lot of different reasons. So there are some pluses to learn some of this technology, although there's some negatives as well. So thank you.
I think so too. We'll see some with the way we deliver a few things, just like we are right now. We'll stick. I want to go back to what Aaron said in his training, that it's as good or as positive as we are trying to make it right now. And I think parents and students are thankful for what we're doing. I still think there are a lot of I'm going to use the word traditional. That's not the correct term. I know I don't know how to be politically correct because I'm not sure what the correct word is, but people really value, like Aaron said, I can't wait to get back to the classroom. We who work in education got into education to be around people. We enjoy being around people, caring for people, the whole passion of everything we do. And that's hard. And students really enjoy it too. Students, 5th and 6th grade, and the parents, for all of the things we've had to change, we have received so many thank yous. I get notes from kids and parents saying, thank you so much for what you're doing. And thanks for hanging. I mean, it's just marvelous. It's wonderful. So.
Well, we will say thank you as well. And obviously the social emotional is, it's very difficult to address, and all of the additional courses that we offer that meet the needs of our students, whether it's physical education or, whatever we're doing, arts. And I know we're reaching students as best as we can, but it's certainly a lot more enjoyable sometimes when we were in person.
You bet.
As well as our board meetings. So thank you, John.
Thanks, you guys.
The next person is Jason. Jason, would you like to speak to your topics, please?
Yeah, our parent teacher conferences were unique up here because we've never probably scheduled a high school parent teacher conference. So to not only do scheduling of them, but then also do them via technology, they went extremely well. The staff and I had differing fears coming into it. I think I had some staff members are like, what if nobody signs up and comes in? Whereas I was on the flip side of, what if we have too many people that want to come in, type of thing. But it was able to work out well. And I think the unique thing for high school staff is they felt they could be prepped a little bit better, because with and to use John's word, with a traditional parent teacher conference at the high school, you know which kid you're going to talk about when mom or dad walk in your room. So with the sign up ahead of time, they were able to have materials prepped and kind of be set up a little bit more for them. So, you know, I think taking that optimistic view, I think there's definitely some positives that can come along with it. Staff in service, the one we had last month and the one we have coming up next week, at the high school level, we are focusing on student connections with, you know, even during the hybrid, 60% of the time the kids have been away from us in the school. So we just felt like it was really necessary to focus on those connections. Miss Kathy Reed came up and helped us last month, and hopefully she'll come up again next week and to kind of join in that activity and just to keep that in our forefront. We're all missing the kids. I think even today, the building was way too quiet today. And that goes after, you know, only having probably 40% of the kids in, you know, at the first 10 weeks of the year. So those connections are just vital. And that goes with that social emotional learning too. And we just need to make sure we're connecting not only with our hybrid kids that'll eventually get back to hybrid, but also our full-time online kids because they are all our students. So as far as Veterans Day, we did a virtual Veterans Day program. So Mr. Thu, Mr. Schleify, the American Legion, Mr. Gabrielson helped out a great deal. They were able to put together a Veterans Day program that was shared out within the building too. So kudos to all of them to be able to kind of go with the flow. I have not talked to like Peter company, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's the first virtual Veterans Day program we've had here. And they did a good job and, you know, just trying to make it still a memorable thing. And so thank you to all of them. And thank you to all the veterans too, who served. And the last thing, winter co-curriculars. We, I believe, have 6 winter sports that we run at the high school. 3 of them started practice this evening, and 3 more will start next Monday. And so, you know, with the different things going on and going remote learning, we're actually trying to take a little bit of advantage of that too. We're actually, with some of our teams, we're going to actually space them out throughout the day too, so that we can kind of keep the amounts that are in, especially you think winter, it's indoor. So to try to be able to limit the amount that we have at each time in the gym. So I know, like talking to boys basketball, I think varsity, JV, C squad are all gonna be able to take advantage of different practice times, things that we wouldn't normally be able to do, but we're gonna take advantage of it while we can, type of thing, just to create the, as we've talked before, we can't make it totally safe, but you can take steps to make everything a little bit safer. So we're gonna take advantage of that, but numbers are probably pretty similar to where they've been in the past, in all honesty. So I think it's an activity, and I think, you know, as we've tried to balance safety throughout, we've also tried to balance the high school experience and the positives that come about so many different things. So so that's getting up and running, and we'll see how that goes, and probably report back to you next month, I'm guessing.
So Jason, did I miss this, the staff in service and the professional development? Did I miss you speak to that?
Yeah, we were focusing on the connecting part of it.
Oh.
So we were having activities with how to connect with students,
Okay.
not only in the building, but virtually. And the great thing with the hybrid model, actually within the building, with the class sizes being so much smaller, you can connect pretty easily. You can't hide in a high school classroom when you have a hybrid type of model, because some of those classes are pretty small. So you're going to be engaged probably more so even if you don't want to be, type of thing. So it's easier to build those connections in that model, even though you only have the students 2 days a week.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And once again, thank you for all that you're doing for our students and our families. Just can't thank you all enough. And with that, Kathy, would you like to speak to your administrative reports, please?
Sure. So education moves on in the special ed world. We have 60 to 70% of our special ed students are still coming in for face-to-face, because we know that those special ed students, for whatever reason, just because of their disabilities, virtual is not very effective. So our staff has scrambled and worked to get schedules. The schedules are reduced. Some are coming in the morning, some are coming in the afternoon, in order to socially distance for that as well. They're thinking out of the box and how they can really keep connecting and keeping these kids moving. So Randy has been a godsend. If you don't know how wonderful that man is, he is a godsend. And I'll panic and he'll be, no, Kath, I think we can make it work. So we're getting these kids in here, transportation, he's supporting that. And the thinking out of the box, one of the examples, and I put it in my report, we're able to have a little Amish girl who is pretty involved in the early childhood program. Obviously, technology is not something that they can work or really understand, and how to connect with them and tell them we're going virtually. So the early childhood teacher got on the bus and rode the bus out to the Amish community with her that the day that we decided that we were going virtual, and had a face-to-face conversation with the parents. And the parents were so thankful that we could still have that little girl coming in, and still, because we've seen so much growth since we've been bringing her in September. And they were just very, very thankful. And so that was, she had tears in her eyes when she came back and reported to me on the trip on the bus. So we're putting pairs on the bus sometimes, where the teacher went on the bus. So we're thinking a little bit out of the box. One of the things, or one of the obstacles we have when we go to virtual learning for our staff is, what are we doing with their kids? So we were able to figure that out and do some staff child supervision. So some of their children can come in and we can have some people support them while our teachers are still teaching. So I really thank Tom and the administrative staff for allowing that to happen as well. I had 3 teachers or 3 staff members able to join a virtual assistive technology conference that is usually very expensive and you have to travel for several days. And that was virtual this month for 2 weeks. They were able to go into several sessions, and they'll be talking to us about those assistive technologies, especially with our autism population, how to tips and tricks and things that we can do with them. One of the things, not only helping Jason with the high school professional development, I took my team to VARC and we did on the 30th and we toured that. And we're talking about some partnerships that we can utilize, getting some of our students into the work community, and partnering with VARC a little bit. So we're excited about that as well. So even though times are different, we're still moving forward in the special ed world. Anybody have any questions for me?
So thank you, Kathy. Thank you, all administrators. The one thing that I love being a part of is being on this board is, and this has been true from the moment I moved to this community, is you see the dedication of our teachers and our paras and our supervisors and our administrators doing what's best for kids. And in everything all of you are talking about tonight and all of the reports, it's 100% about kids and what we can do to serve the needs of our students and our families. And so thank you. Thank you all for that. Just thank you doesn't seem enough, but that's all I can say. And you are all just tremendous people. And I hope that you can give that message from the board to all of our staff and our teachers. Krista is under the administrative reports for the curriculum and resources. Krista, would you like to speak to that topic now?
Yeah, I can just speak real quickly. You've probably noticed in the past several years, DPI has released many new sets of standards. And as my title has changed to be more focused on curriculum, I have spent a lot of time looking at what our current curriculum cycle review cycle looks like and compared it to what the release of standards looks like, and started doing some revisions, which turned into quite a few revisions once I got started. But I was hoping to more logically align when we look at our curriculum maps compared to when the new standards are released or when they are going to be released in the future. So there's several new sections on this review cycle map that I added. One of them being the calendar of past standards being released, along with future standards that are planning to be released by the state, and also aligning the year that our staff or our curriculum teams would just spend a year learning about the new standards and comparing them to what our old curriculum map would look like. And then the following year working on actually revising the curriculum map, and then the year after that rolling it out to implement it and making sure the assessments align. I also added a part at the bottom of this document, just making each of those 4 separate steps be very clearly defined for staff to understand more clearly, and anyone else who might pick up this document to know what you would do at each step of what at each phase, why we are doing this part, and the actual pieces that are involved in completing that part of the phase, because it's not something that most people are used to doing on a regular basis. So just making it as clear and user-friendly as possible was my goal.
Does anyone have any questions for Krista? 5, 4, 3, 1. So Krista, I appreciate the time that you spent. I actually compared it to the curriculum map that we had before. One question that I have, and I really appreciate you putting the information about when new information is going to be brought forward. It makes perfect sense. But I do see, for example, for music, it's about 10 years between when we looked at it before and the next time we at it. And I don't know, I just don't know if that's typical or atypical, or if you could give me a little insight on not just that topic, but
there were a few subjects that were kind of in the middle, that their new standards are either going to be released soon, or they just were released and we didn't quite catch updating those standards on our documents. So for those examples, I'm hoping to just meet with them and do a quick kind of alignment or compare without stepping into the complete overhaul of the cycle, because it is really frustrating for all of us to go through this pretty heavy process and then learn that you have new standards out and have to redo it again just a couple of years later. So I have made a note of a couple of particular groups that weren't quite caught up before the new standards were released. So yes, I have a plan for them.
And then will those be presented to the board when those are updated, or will they not, because they are just small revisions that don't need board approval for?
I don't think they would be significant or formal enough to need the board approval until they are listed on the actual map. I'm happy to give a report, just a general summary of the minor tweaks or just correlations that may be done before the formal step on the cycle.
I'll leave that up to the administrators to make a decision on if something needs to be reported or not. But once again, one of our responsibilities is curriculum. And so seeing the depth in which you analyzed it is something that I know I appreciate, and all the other board appreciate. Does somebody else have a question? I heard someone speaking. No? Maybe that was.
I can just add a little bit here. Just, Angie, this is a living, breathing process, and it's an exciting one because this is truly a passion of Krista's, and it's been very evident already, already this year in that relationship with Krista and the teaching staff that she's, currently working with. It's going to be really good, and especially having someone on those years where you're not technically, doing these really in-depth things, you're looking at your curriculum, and it's a living, breathing process. And it's exciting to have Krista on board and working with our teachers in this way.
Wonderful. Thank you. And with that, we have the student board reports. Abby and Olivia, I'm going to mute myself. So go ahead, please introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the student council activities.
Abby, do you want to go first?
Sure, yeah. Hi, I'm Abby, and that's Olivia. We're both seniors in student council at Froco High School. So obviously this year we haven't been able to do as many activities as we would like to. And one of our main activities, like every year, is homecoming. And so this year we weren't able to do the dance, and we weren't able to do skits and rallies or the parade. But we did do like a rock scavenger hunt where everyone would go around. The rocks were hidden around town. And then if you got like a silver one, it was like a bigger prize, which was like a $20 gift card. And then there was like smaller ones. And I'm pretty sure all of them were found, and it was really fun for the students. And then we still had our dress up days, and we decorated the windows in the commons. We still had King and Queen, which we actually announced at the football game this year, which was pretty cool. Actually, I think people like that a lot more than just doing it at our pep rally.
Yeah. For community service, we tried to do as much community service as we could, like given COVID. So things that we did, we participated in the Coolies, kind of just like helping them set up and run it. And that's something that's outside, so it's easier to operate. And we also, every year we help teachers like in elementary through high school set up their classrooms before school starts. So we are still able to do that because it's just one-on-one with a teacher. We also did Stuff the Bus and a new student orientation as well, which is things that we do every year anyways, that we were still able to do. And then also like every other year, because it's pretty much online anyways, we did Blackhawk school apparel. And that is just general Blackhawk apparel. And we were able to do that too. And for this coming Christmas season, we usually do door decorating, which is kind of hard to work around because usually we have like 8 to 10 people working on the door at once. And that's obviously not social distancing. So we're kind of working with that, and we're still doing door decorating in a way where like the A students, like the A-day students will do one hat, like one side of the door, and then the B-day students will do the other side of the door. So it's still like festive for each class and everybody gets to participate still. And what else have we done, Abby?
I think that's all. We just sold our discount cards like we usually do. And this year we're making locker signs for athletes because we don't have cheerleaders who usually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing with door decorating, we're not sure when we're going to do that right now because we were supposed to do it next week. So we usually do it the last week in November. So we're still working on when that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Also with window decorating, like since we don't have cheerleaders this year, usually they decorate windows that are downtown. But to try to get the homecoming court more involved in the community and activities, the homecoming court actually decorated windows, some business windows downtown, and cleaned them up. So that was fun to do. That was kind of homecoming-y and festive. What else?
So anybody have any questions for Abby or Olivia? So I look forward to the time that we can actually meet you in person. That's always the best. Thank you both for the commitment that you have to Student Council as well as our district. A couple of thoughts. Community service. There's a food pantry in Viroqua that's open on Mondays. It's drive-through, so it's in an open building. And I know that they're always looking for volunteers. So, but they need consistent volunteers. And I believe it's from about 12:30 until 3 o'clock on Mondays. If that's something that anyone would be interested in, I could certainly give Mr. Kress the information. It's right in Viroqua, but it's a wonderful opportunity to give back to the community. Something that I have seen as far as decorating now, Kathy Reed might be able to help me out here, but we used to use shoe boxes, which today could be Amazon boxes, and having individuals decorate those boxes and then putting those boxes throughout the school can give you that festive type of atmosphere as long as it's done in a safe way, obviously. But I have seen that a little bit when I've been on some of the internet sites looking for kind of festivities. I'm Jewish, so I don't do Christmas, but anyway, but I have seen that and it looked very, looked like a fun thing to do too, and it's social distance. But anyway, couple of thoughts, and I'm sure your teachers and other administrators and students have some pretty fun thoughts too. So thank you for everything that you're doing, and thank you for your willingness to serve as Student Council representatives to the board. And any questions that you might have, you can contact any board member anytime. We'd be happy to chat with you also. So thank you for that. The next item is the board report, which is WASB, the Legislative Updates 2021 WASB Convention. So if you would like to attend the convention, we have obviously gotten some things in the mail. This, for example, I looked through the booklet. I saw 19 breakout sessions that looked really interesting. If you would like to sign up this year, please contact Beth. We can get a discounted rate, and it really looked like some pretty fascinating sessions. If you're going to attend, I would really ask you to write some notes about it so that in February when we come back, you can present the information that you learned We can maybe have a retreat or an advance or whatever you want to call it, and present the information to the administrators or each other, because it's some pretty good stuff in there. The next item is legislative updates. I spoke with Tom about reaching out to our new legislators and perhaps having them come and speak for a few minutes via Zoom. We could also discuss with them, some of the things that are going on in our district so that they're more aware of what the K-12 system is going through with COVID, academically, socially, emotionally, for staff and students and families. So he and I spoke to that. And I'm also going to be reaching out to our administrators and scheduling 10, 15-minute conversation over the phone. And I'll be reaching out to you by email this week at your convenience, if you could get back to me about that. And I believe that that's all that I have. I already gave you the WASB information. I also appreciate Tom sending us the statewide updates. I think they're very interesting. They're actually not as interesting as they have been in the past, because almost every one of them is about virtual education and schools going virtual. Anyone have any questions about the topics that I spoke to? So once again, thank you all. Thank you all for your time, your commitment, your dedication to our district. And with that, the Bears-Vikings game is on. So let's adjourn.
So moved.
There's a second. Aye.
Aye.
I all a very safe. Thanks, whatever for you.